am Valerie Hart. I am in my 53rd year of life. I once held the conviction that by this point in my life, I would have found my footing, not merely in terms of marriage or financial stability, but in the very essence of who I am. That time would smooth the roughness, still the cravings, and usher in a sense of tranquility. Yet, no one reveals the experience of awakening each day with a body that aches, not due to the passage of time, but from an unfulfilled yearning, or the peril that comes with being noticed once more, after enduring years of being overlooked. In the stillness of the dawn, silence reigns supreme. As with all experiences that transform your existence, Joanna, my daughter, had recently embarked on her second year at the university. She had always been the more driven of the two. Radiant, steadfast, a girl who meticulously crafted lists and diligently adhered to them. I cherished her with an intensity that perhaps bordered on obsession, especially now that my husband and I resided in the haunting silence of our vacant home. During that semester, her literature professor received an invitation to present a talk at a nearby conference. The university had made arrangements for him to stay in a hotel, yet Joanna, always the meticulous hostess, extended the invitation to use our guest room instead. She claimed it would be simpler, more intimate. Besides, he's not really that old, she chuckled. Just 38. Utterly relaxed. You will find him appealing. As I turned the handle and stepped through the threshold that Thursday afternoon, I found myself unprepared for any emotions that might arise. Yet, in that moment he appeared. Dr. Lucian Ward. Lofty. Silence. A silence so profound it beckoned you closer. His voice carried a gentle weight, as if he were accustomed to being heard by others. His eyes perhaps a shade of blue? Or perhaps a shade of gray. They moved subtly in the illumination. He smiled at me as if he were familiar with a part of me that had remained hidden from everyone for years. I appreciate your hospitality, he remarked, and it was straightforward, respectful. Yet, a certain feeling awakened within me. An unnamed sensation I was not prepared to confront. It was the inaugural evening, a moment suspended in time. The evening meal was uncomplicated. Delicious pasta accompanied by perfectly roasted vegetables. Joanna dominated the conversation, filling him in on the latest campus gossip. I sat back, savoring the wine as I nodded thoughtfully, observing. Occasionally, he would cast a fleeting glance in my direction. There is nothing out of place. Yet, when a person gazes at you unwaveringly, without a hint of distraction, it evokes a profound response. Particularly after enduring years of invisibility. Once the dishes had been cleared away, Joanna took her leave to complete a paper. Lucian and I tarried in the kitchen. I inquired about his lecture. He shared with me his fervent admiration for the works of Baldwin, Duras, and Woolf. Our conversation stretched on for more than an hour. It had been ages since I had engaged in such a conversation with a man. It doesn't pertain to literature. It transcends mere longing. In the corner of the living room his gaze fell upon the piano, an unassuming presence yet rich with untold stories. Do you engage in play? Not so much these days. You truly should. Your hands possess the grace of a pianist. That night sleep eluded me. Scene, the following morning. When I stirred from my slumber, Lucian was already in the kitchen. He had brewed a pot of coffee. He appeared utterly relaxed in our home. Sleeves rolled up, tie absent, hair still glistening from a recent shower. Joanna arrived, radiating cheerfulness. Unaware. She cherished him deeply. I was able to perceive that. Yet in her I glimpsed a reflection of my former self. A version I dreaded had slipped away forever. Scene. An afternoon stroll, Valerie in solitude. That afternoon, I strolled through the neighborhood in solitude. The trees had begun their transformation. Golden hues, warm amber, deep burgundy. I reflected on the various roles I had embraced. Mother, wife, and the ever-obliging neighbor. Yet not a woman. Not in recent times. Upon my return, I found Lucian immersed in a book within the confines of the study. He raised his gaze. You vanished, he remarked. Merely strolling. It compliments you beautifully. He remained silent about what it entailed. Yet I sensed it. In the stillness of the dawn, a serene hush enveloped the world. Yet there are beginnings that remain hushed, merely awaiting the tempest's approach. It's curious how a man can occupy so much space effortlessly. Lucien refrained from demanding it. He did not slam doors, did not pace, did not intrude. Yet, in some inexplicable way, he infused the house with life. When he spoke, his voice resonated. The echo of his footsteps reverberated from above. The faint hint of his cologne lingered in the air. Leather, smoke, and an undertone of warmth. It lingered in the guest bathroom after he showered, and once as I entered to wipe the sink, I found myself pausing simply to savor the scent. Joanna remained oblivious. Perhaps she was aware, yet chose not to articulate it. On that Saturday morning, Lucien inquired whether I would like to explore the quaint old bookshop nestled in the heart of downtown. Joanna had crafted a delightful plan, a brunch with friends, and to my own astonishment I found myself agreeing to join. He navigated the road. Jazz filled the air as I drove, the melodies weaving through the confines of the car. Not the sleek variety, but rather something knotted and melancholic. The October light, gently sifting through the windows, found its perfect match. My eyes kept drifting to his hands gripping the wheel. Powerful, slender, competent. The air in the shop was thick with the scent of dust and the whispers of forgotten spirits. I observed him glide his fingers along the spines as if they were sacred objects. He presented me with a copy of Rilke's Letters to a Young Poet. I revisit it each autumn, he remarked. I inclined my head in agreement. That book once held a special place in my heart. He remained silent, a smile playing on his lips. Yet within that smile lay an unspoken invitation, or perhaps a memory he had yet to share with me. Afterward, we enjoyed a cup of coffee together. Engaged in a discussion about regret, we skirted the issue, choosing to express ourselves with more cautious language. Opportunities slipped away. At the intersection of paths, untraveled roads. Do you believe we diminish in size as the years pass by? He inquired, gently swirling his cup. No, irraplia. It seems we often overlook the importance of claiming our own space. He cast his gaze in my direction then. Completely. The expression of a man on the brink of uttering words that cannot be taken back. Yet he did not. Not at this moment. On that fateful night, Joanna was besieged by a migraine. She remained on the upper floor. I served her soup, pressed my lips gently to her forehead, and softened the glow of the lights. In the living room, Lucien found himself immersed in the pages of a book. The Rilke volume once more. I found myself seated opposite him, a glass of wine cradled in my hand. Our conversation was sparse. At one moment he remarked, "The house feels so silent in her absence." Indeed. Then in a gentler tone, "You're quiet too." Am I? He inclined his head in acknowledgement, yet not devoid, merely restrained. I gazed at him for an extended moment. You observe far too keenly. I perceive that which yearns for recognition. Silence lingered between us, taut and expectant. I rose, offered my apologies, and retired to my chamber. Yet slumber eluded me. I paid attention. The walls whispered with creaks, the wind howled outside, and I could barely hear the delicate rustle of a page turning in the room below. Upon awakening the following morning, I discovered a note discreetly placed beneath my door. It stated, "I trust this remains within acceptable boundaries. Yet I perceive your presence. It is certainly not a trivial matter." He failed to affix his signature. He was under no obligation to do so. Breakfast met an unfortunate fate in the flames of my culinary misadventure. Joanna playfully taunted me. Lucien did not. He observed me with a serene patience, as though he possessed an inkling of what was to unfold next. Or perhaps I wished I did. As the night enveloped the world outside, I turned the handle and stepped into the guest room. I found myself rooted in place, only for a fleeting moment. Once more, he found himself immersed in the pages of a book. Gazed upward. Silence enveloped us. I did not enter by foot. I also left the door ajar. I remained rooted in place, a silent acknowledgement passing between us. The threshold had been breached. Even if our hands had never met. Nevertheless, the following day unfolded in disjointed pieces, radiance streaming through the slats of the blinds. The coffee sits cooling in silence untouched. The sound of my daughter's voice wafts down the stairs, punctuated by snippets of her lively conversations with friends on the phone. Yet for me, everything became more vivid. The echo of Lucien's footsteps, the intensity of his gaze lingering just a moment too long, the fleeting touch of his fingers against mine as we crossed paths in the hallway. As Sunday evening approached, the house seemed to shrink around us. Perhaps I did, after all. As I meticulously folded the laundry, a sudden knock echoed through the air, drawing my attention to the door. Valerie. His voice carried a gentle softness. Deliberate. Yes. He remained behind the door, unyielding and silent. I merely stood on the opposite side. I'm heading out for a stroll. Care to accompany me? There was a moment of uncertainty. My fingers found themselves ensnared in one of Joanna's sweaters. The scent of her perfume lingered on the fabric. All right. The chill in the air outside had deepened, yet I embraced it with open arms. It invigorated my skin. Initially, we traversed the path in quietude. Along the pavement, beyond the weathered brick houses and the warm radiance of illuminated porches. The warmth of his presence enveloped me, a gentle reminder of his closeness, even without a single touch. You are not what I envisioned, he remarked at last. What were you anticipating? He offered a subtle smile. A mother. A gracious hostess. A figure who vanishes once the meal concludes. A chuckle escaped my lips. I attempted that. It didn't work. He came to a halt, gazed upon me. I truly meant it. That note. I recognize you. There it stood, a presence unmistakable. The moment lingered like a thick fog enveloping us. I find myself at a loss with that, I murmured. He advanced with measured intent. Untouched. Simply close. There's no obligation on your part. Yet the possibility exists. We strolled in silence, the weight of unspoken words hanging between us. That evening I lingered by his door, the guest room, the sanctuary where he rested within my home, and hesitated. Once more. Yet on this occasion I rapped gently at the door. He gently pried it open. A book cradled in his hand, glasses perched low on his nose. Sleep eludes me, I confessed. He gracefully moved to the side. As I stepped inside, our words remained unspoken. He perched on the brink of the bed, lost in thought. I found myself positioned by the window. He extended his hand deliberately and made contact with mine. Unhurried. I find myself devoid of hunger. Not at this moment. Simply awe-inspired. In that serene instant, I found myself seated beside him. His hand glided to my knee. My hand rested gently on his shoulder. Our breaths harmonized. He leaned in, and this time I remained still. The kiss lacked urgency. It was intentional, as if savoring a flavor he had envisioned for ages yet never summoned the courage to request. His hand glided to the small of my back. I released a breath and allowed the door to gently close. We remained fully clothed. Not entirely. Merely sufficient to experience the emotions that demanded attention. The touch of skin, the breath caught in my throat as he murmured my name, as if it held a profound significance. Our pace was deliberate. Take your time. There is no rush. As if two souls understood that this moment could be both a beginning and an end, yet yearned for it to become a cherished memory they could inhabit for eternity. As the final moments faded away, I found myself rooted in place. His fingertip danced in gentle circles upon my shoulder. For the first time in years, I experienced a night of uninterrupted sleep. As the first light of dawn approached, I found myself awake. Quietly departed from the room. Strolled past Joanna's door. Guilt did not descend with the force of thunder. The silence enveloped the surroundings, as if it were a slow, steady drip, as if suspended in anticipation. Yet, a smile crept across my face as I settled back into the familiar embrace of my own bed, because I had felt a profound connection, and I had returned once more. I made an effort to fit in. The following morning, I stirred to the familiar voice of my husband reaching out from Chicago. He was returning home a day ahead of schedule. With trembling fingers I clutched the phone, the sheet from last night still ensnared around my legs. That's wonderful, I replied. My voice felt foreign, as if it belonged to someone else. Lucien remained in the confines of his room. Joanna crafted a stack of pancakes. I found myself letting things slip from my grasp. A fork, a glass, a falsehood with every smile I wore. Until that moment I had never crossed that line. I'm uncertain if I anticipated guilt to howl within me, to consume me from within. Yet it did not. It throbbed. It hovered just beneath the surface, akin to a creeping malaise. And nestled within that guilt was a different sensation, one that twisted and turned in the shadows. Contentment. I would awaken once more. That evening we gathered in the living room. As if nothing had shifted in our world. Joanna shared with Lucien the details of her impending exam. He absorbed every word with keen interest. Not a single glance was cast in my direction. Not a single look. It pierced like a sharp needle. More disheartening than I had envisioned. In that room he held the title of her professor. A visitor. A man defined by his boundaries. And I was the woman who ought to have been wiser. A delicate transition unfolded. It was evident in the manner Lucien steered clear of the kitchen whenever I occupied it. His voice shifted back to a tone that was formal and crisp. I believed he felt remorse for it. Yet I found myself mistaken. 2 nights later I stumbled upon another note, gently nestled within the pages of my book. Merely 3 words. Do not close yourself off. On that evening, as Joanna ventured out to join her friends, Lucien discovered me in the garden. I found myself tending to the lavender, gently coaxing life into its fragrant blooms with each drop of water. The hose quivered in my grasp. He ambled forward at a leisurely pace. Uttered not a word. What prompted you to put that down on paper? I inquired. I witnessed it. The way your gaze met mine. As if you longed to wipe it all away. I remained silent. Do you feel remorse? He inquired. My mind wandered to my husband. Concerning Joanna. Of all that would shatter should the truth emerge. No. He inclined his head in acknowledgement. I feel the same way. He kissed me once more. This time shrouded in darkness hidden behind the hydrangeas. This time it surged forward with a swift intensity. It lacked tenderness. It was necessary. Immediate. Gasping, frantic. Fabric whispered. Fasteners released. We chose not to enter. Within the confines of the garden lay our hidden truth. As the final moments faded away, we found ourselves standing there, breathless and trembling. This cannot continue, I remarked. Yet it shall. Our gazes met, not infused with affection, but burdened by the weight of understanding what had been set in motion. The following day, my husband made his arrival. At the threshold, our lips met in a fleeting moment of intimacy. I inquired about the nature of his journey. A smile graced my lips. I presented the evening meal. Yet, with each word that escaped Lucien's lips, I was transported to another realm of his voice, the one that summoned my name in a hushed, fervent whisper amidst the blooms of the garden. And I was aware. The conclusion had yet to be reached. The dawn was merely unfolding. The subsequent days unfolded in a tapestry of silent suffering. I wandered through my home as if I were an outsider. All appeared unchanged, the gentle beige walls, the cherished family photographs, the lingering aroma of eucalyptus in the bathroom. Yet I was no longer the woman who had selected these details. Lucien maintained his courtesy. Here it is. Far away in every manner that drove me to madness. He would nod as we crossed paths in the hallway, extend an invitation for coffee in the morning, praise my cooking as if he hadn't held me, kissed me or unraveled me in the shadows. And Joanna. My daughter radiated with a luminous beauty. It was evident that she felt a sense of pride. It fills me with pride that we found common ground. Filled with pride for having welcomed someone she held in high regard into our home, into the fabric of our lives. If only she were aware. That weekend, Lucien was set to make his way back to campus. Joanna intended to take him home following their brunch together. She extended an invitation for me to join them, yet I chose to decline. Are you certain? She inquired, poised at the threshold. Indeed, I replied with a smile. You both should go. Lucien cast no glance behind him. Never. The stillness that followed their departure was excruciating. I ventured into the garden, stood in the very spot where our lips had met, where we had ventured beyond mere kisses. I caressed the hydrangeas. My hands trembled with uncertainty. I believed it had come to an end. Yet, in the stillness of that night, Just past the stroke of midnight, I discovered an envelope nestled within the mailbox. There is no return address provided. My name inscribed in his meticulous handwriting. Within lay a letter. Dear Valerie, I assured myself that I could simply turn and leave. What we did could be neatly folded and tucked away alongside the myriad of unspoken thoughts that linger in silence. You are not merely a chapter. You are a threshold I crossed, and now it remains ajar. I have never encountered an individual who embodies both profound slumber and vibrant consciousness simultaneously. You present yourself as if you relinquished your spark many moons past. Yet I beheld the smoke. I noticed how you paused, as if your own name carried the weight of the world. I ought not to have laid a finger on you. Yet I shall not utter an apology, for the simple reason that I had to understand your existence. That a woman such as yourself, stunning, astute, subtly shattered, continues to tread upon this earth. Should you wish to cross paths with me once more, you are aware of my whereabouts. If that's the case, I'll comprehend. Yet, you shall remain etched in my memory forever. L.W. I perched on the cool floor of the hallway, cradling the letter as if it were a fragile secret, poised to vanish at any moment. And after weeks of silence, tears finally fell. Not due to any sense of guilt, or filled with a sense of shame. Yet it was the fact that someone had truly seen me, every facet of my being, and had chosen not to turn away. That evening I found myself in bed, beside my husband, his gentle snores filling the silence, blissfully unaware of the world around us. The ceiling held my gaze, an expanse of stillness above me. I arrived at a decision. I would refrain from approaching him, yet I would not entomb it either. With meticulous care, I folded the letter and nestled it between the pages of Rilke's book. Perhaps certain tales are destined to linger, untouched by the passage of time. Perhaps they are destined to linger in the shadows of memory, spoken softly just between us, in the realm that lies between our past selves and who we had the audacity to become.